Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of our Holt 10-ton military artillery mover. And we're doing the final stages, hopefully loading today to head to the Half Century Progress Show that's held every biannual, every other year if you don't know what biannual means, at Rantoul, Illinois. We've never been, we're all excited. So anyway, I'll bring you up to speed what we have accomplished this past week. So I was working on a fuel tank. We had a little leak. I don't know if you remember that or not, but anyway, I was draining the old gas out and had the fuel cap in there, and it was coming out real slow. And originally there was a little tiny hole that a Carter key went in here. And as soon as I loosened the cap and the tank got air, it could breathe, and therefore gas ran out a whole lot quicker. So I think that was one of our problems, is the tank wasn't vented properly. So Daddy went in here and added some more vent holes, and then we put a screen in there to keep the critters out. So the tank should breathe much better now. The other thing we did, we have the cushion, made the strap, you know, how it holds it on there, because a gunner or a passenger would have sat here and held on for dear life, and probably with his fingers in his ears because he's real close to the exhaust pipe. And then we added this step to make it a little easier getting on and off. And we were still having issues with the original fuel strainer that you could do from reserve to primary line. So we kind of bypassed that for this show. I added an inline filter, and then we put a ball valve back here so we could shut the fuel off if we need to. I don't know if we mentioned this last time, but we took guts out of a cat fuel filter, put it on my homemade fuel strainer, and that's going to go in the tank to act as a first primary fuel filter, and then the inline filter will be the secondary. Another thing we did is added this strap to hold the box on. It's bolted on, but to hold the lid shut, and that stores a rope for a capstan winch. Let's see, did we do anything over here? We added these little holders for the oil to lubricate the valves, and then I've got one on the other side to hold the priming can. And then I believe you saw us mounting the grill, and we've replicated as best we can to what you would see on a Holt 120, even though this is a Holt 10-ton, but looks real good. Will keep people from, or objects from, hitting the radiator.
So Papa, you made this grate, right?
I helped make it. Your dad did a lot of the welding, but what I did was I found this genuine, rusty, probably 50-year-old wire grid at a friend of mine who has some stuff like that, and I went about 3 or 4 places in Greensboro trying to find it. No one had anything like that. So I went to my friend who has goodies, let's say. And anyway, so I was able to buy a piece. I cut it out using the, what is that thing called, Eric?
Plasma cutter.
Plasma cutter. And just cut right down through it. Then I had to grind the side, because I wanted one of these main wires right here to be right on the inside. Mm-hmm. So I ground and ground and ground, and finally got it to fit in there. So,
well, it looks pretty good.
And of course, the reason for that is this is pretty tender, the things. And of course, we did some research. So sure enough, I found online, I don't know where you can see that, that's a picture of a Holt that has the same grid on it. That is what covered up the radiator. So this was the piece that I found, you know, which was bigger, and of course cut it out. So anyway, we're real proud, because someone who wanted to be malicious or wasn't paying attention come up and lean up against it, they could really mess up, because it took us about 4 hours of straightening to get those grids as good as they are now.
Well, they look good.
So this is more of a protector. And I'm always amazed that it wasn't already on there, because if you were plowing in a field or something like that, or even worse, if it was, not worse, but if it was actually in Europe
Combat.
in combat. You were going through bushes and all kind of stuff. So I was amazed that they didn't do something like that to begin with on all their tractors. Now,
armor plating covered it up.
of course, now armor plating covered it initially,
But without plating.
but without armor plating. And of course, we found a picture. These two pieces were used as part of the armor plating. You can see the bolts and that sort of stuff. But of course, the armor plating was gone long before we got the tractor.
So there's a bolt right here, and there's one same on the other side. What are they for?
Well, let me show you. These are our supports, and that's the one that goes on that side, and this one goes on this side. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot.
Oh, that arches back to that.
Diagonal brace. And of course, we got some of these period correct square-headed bolts and nuts.
Mm-hmm. Now, some people might argue, same way you argue that the armament covered up the engine.
Yeah.
Does this grate not cover up the look of the radiator?
Well, it covered it up. You know, if you've seen pictures, this thing went out at a big angle like this. It didn't go straight up and down, but it went out.
Well, but the reason you're not going to recreate the armament is because it covers up the look of the engine.
Covers up the limb.
Can you not use that same argument for this grate on the radiator?
Well, you could.
Like it covers up being able to see the radiator as well?
That's why it's got nice big holes in it. But I think that's much better. Nice and rigid, and you're running up in a field, you know.
It doesn't take away from it.
It doesn't take away from it, no. We're trying to preserve the tractor as well as make it run.
We know it runs.
Yeah.
See, I think that these pieces, we've got pictures that on tractors with no armament that still had these, and they were bent kind of at a 45 on this tractor. One was a 45 and one was a perfect 90. So we decided to bend this other one up to 90 and add this grill. But more than likely, these held the bottom piece of armament. You can see engines that have armament, there's a gap down here about yay big for air to get to the radiator, and it slopes up like this, and then there's a piece that goes back. So these brackets would have been where the lower part of that armament would have attached.
Mm-hmm.
So they made them with armament and without, because we've got pictures both ways. So I guess it just depended on.
Well, they were doing research.
Yeah.
So, you know, someone would say, hey, we want some type of grid. Oh, okay, we'll fabricate one.
None of them were standard.
None of them were picture perfect. This is the way we're going to be built. Because they had different branches of the government. You know, one was the quartermaster group.
Yeah.
Had some pictures from the quartermaster, and then had some under test at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and then of course some pictures of it in Peoria, and then some at Stockton, because they were making tractors at both places at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So they did testing and that sort of stuff. So,
And then we've been working on our trailer. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but this is a World War I model 10-ton trailer designed to pull behind that tractor or to tow that tractor. My uncle had this underneath the building since 60? 65 years. And so it rolls real good. And what we did is just greased everything. This one wheel was loose. We took it off. Tighten the bearings up. Got a lot more videos. This is kind of a sneak peek. And then there was a lot of flop in the tow bar here, so I added some UHMW temporarily to take the space up. Don't know what was there originally, maybe a wooden block or something. And then what was funny is, you can probably see it here, there was a grease cup here on this side, and there's a spring-loaded mechanism that will lock in place and keep you from turning it. It only had one. And I was like, man, I really wish we had two of those. And I was like, wait a minute. I went digging over in some stuff that we gathered underneath the seat, and lo and behold, there was that identical grease cup with the spring, and so we added it to the other side, so there's a matching pair. But other than pressure washing, we've not done a thing to it. So as you see today in this video, we're going to take this to the show and have behind the Holt, and then we're going to put a D2 on top of it. That was our heritage tractor that's been in the family since brand new, so we got a lot of pride in that one. But you'll see us today. We're going to stage that up on this trailer and have it just for display. So we're not going to run it at the show, but we'll have it for display. So anyway, that brings you up to speed. Stay tuned.
Okay, so we got the tractor running pretty good, got it as low of an idle as we can. Still sounds pretty good, nice deep and throaty sound. So been running for about 15-20 minutes off camera, just trying to fine tune everything. Got into a pretty good spot, so now we're going to get the forklift, move this trailer out of the way so we can get the tractor out, hook them up and see them together for the first time. Straighten back up. Right there. So if you can't tell, we're taking a Conestoga truck. If we measured everything out right, the Kubota Ranger, the 10-ton, and this trailer will give us 2 feet to spare on the trailer. So it should work fine. This will prevent us from having to tarp it on the 12-hour drive north. So now we're going to crank the 10-ton back up because it cut off. Hopefully it'll come on easily and drive it on. Right, Dad?
Yep. I've never been.
Yes. Or somebody can make you a loading dock, right?
Well, I just made a loading dock.
Yes.
Okay. So supposedly there's loading docks. So if there's loading docks, I'd rather pull the tractor and wagon off. And then when we load, we can drive on. Because we can unload here with a forklift or whatever we need to do. Got a lot more flexibility here. So what I want to do is put the trailer on
Backwards.
and if we have to, we'll unhook the trailer from the tractor to give us the tongue length room.
So we're going to go get the D2 to put it on there?
Yeah, we're gonna do that. He wants to work in the shade.
So he just moved the Conestoga in front of the dock. So we're staging the trailer here so we can go get the D2, put it on here, tie it down, get it looking pretty, and then we'll go move this backwards, back it into the Conestoga, and then get the tractor and back it onto the Conestoga so that we can just drive both of them straight off. The pride and joy. What?
Just like that.
Yeah. All right. Whoa. The rear needs to go back. All right, straighten up. Ease back. Oh, no, never mind. That's good. Now we got it staged in place, got the D2 tied down. Haven't decided if these are going to be temporary just till we get it there, or if we're going to leave it there, leave them on at the actual show. But we're going to go ahead and tie down the Ranger while we have pretty good access to it, and then we'll push the old trailer in. Alright, Ranger's tied down. Before we go ahead and push this in, we're going to take this opportunity to bring the tractor out in here, hook them up, and take a nice picture with them. So we'll do that real quick, and then we'll get the trailer in first, get a position, tie it down, then the tractor, and then we'll be ready to take off Wednesday morning.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you are enjoying this series that we've had recently. Working on a Holt 10-ton. We got something special planned for today. We're actually headed to a show for the Holt's debut at Rantoul, Illinois. So if you don't know, there's a show that's every 2 years up there called the Half Century of Progress. I personally have never been, but I know lots of people that have. I think it's the largest tractor show in the country because they have upwards of 100,000 plus people attend every year, every time the show's going on. But we're just at the beginning of our 12-hour journey, and we're weighing in at about 75,000 pounds. And time you add Eli's camera gear, it puts us right at 80,000. So, but anyway, we're hoping for a smooth trip, and I'm sure we will have one. And if you don't know what the series is I'm talking about, it's where we've covered a military Holt 10-ton with a capstan winch, which makes this one very unique. And we'll go into more details about that later, but come along for the ride, and we'll try to include you on everything that we think is memorable and then some. So stay tuned. Well, we made it to Rantoul, and we're on site here, and we're trying to find out where they want us.
You can see the cab of that Mack down there?
Yeah.
It's down.
Just a few, yeah.
I didn't know that was coming.
Yeah, that's cool. Son of Holt.
How about the sights?
It's